Would you like a treat? And story time!
Chapter 7. The Quintessential Home Again. The year is 1942. There is a sharp rap on the front door of the house, with a very positive and purposeful tone. The doorman attends. "Good afternoon, sir. Are you expected? Do you have an appointment?" "No, I'm afraid I don't. Bit of urgent business and all that. Is the squire in? I do need to have a chat with him rather urgently, if it's not too much trouble." "I understand, sir. I will see if he's available to see you. Who shall I say is here to see him?" Yes, just say it's the Chief of the Home Office from Whitehall." "Right away, sir. Won't be a minute." "Sir, it's the Chief of the Home Office from Whitehall to see you. I'm afraid he doesn't have an appointment, but he says it is rather urgent." "Oh, good Lord, that's unusual. Whatever's up? Would have thought he would have written first. All right, show him in the drawing room, would you, old chap? Thanks awfully. Oh, and better prepare some tea." The doorman shows the chief through, past the grand staircase, and they enter the drawing room, where they are received by the colonel. "Good afternoon. It's awfully good of you to see me at short notice, but look here, I've got something that I really wanted to talk with you about in person." Colonel Evelyn asks his other guest to leave the room and looks at his visitor. "I say, would you like some tea? I will get some brought in right away, and then we won't be disturbed." He looks at the doorman, who nods. They sit in very comfortable drawing-room chairs, surrounded by large paintings of various members of the house's sequence of squires and the colonel's family history, facing the tall central window. The Chief of the Home Office is clearly agitated and wants to get on with things. "Now look here, I'll come straight to the point, as time is of the essence. Clearly you will be aware of the difficulties we are facing in Poland and France from the hostile advance of the Hitler's Third Reich forces?" "Yes, of course." "Well, that is totally top secret. This is totally top secret, and I must insist that you give me your word that you will not divulge any of this or discuss anything I have to say with anyone outside these walls, with the exception of your wife. I have to ask you to give me that assurance before I can discuss this matter with you any further." "Good gracious! Well, what can I say? At these times, this must be extremely important, and I feel I must give you that assurance right away." "Good fellow. That's what I like to hear. I must also say that the house is surrounded, but very discreetly. None of your staff or workers would notice, so that if there were any potential information leaks, the military fellows hiding in the woods would have to deal with things on the government's behalf, shall we say." I'm dumbfounded. This is so extraordinary. We already have some of these damn chaps from the Navy living here with us. What's the problem? Give me a moment, please. The colonel sips some more tea, very thoughtfully, and is by now nervous and deeply moved. "I see. This must be terribly important and sensitive, of course. I assure you that I won't risk breathing a word of anything here with anyone, and I assume you'll need me to sign something, would you?" "Good chap. That would be most helpful too. I am here on the express command of none other than the Prime Minister, Mr. Churchill himself, who has also had words with Eisenhower, His Excellency Charles de Gaulle, the President of France, and Field Marshal Montgomery, who is also in on this." "My goodness me! You don't mess about, do you? I do believe your credentials." "Just wanted to make myself clear right from the outset." "Right, then let's get down to it. I appreciate that this might come as a bit of a shock to you, but you're man enough, and you appreciate the seriousness of the convictions of all who are behind this." "Yes, of course," mulls the squire, now increasingly attentive and tense and eager to find out what it's all about. "The government, Winston Churchill, General Eisenhower, and the War Office have sent me to tell you that, in the interests of the country and the Western world, Your house is going to be used as a command centre for Allied forces. This will entail the government, the War Office, and the military taking over the entire house. To all intents and purposes, it will still look like your normal country estate from the outside, if you see what I mean, but the house will regularly be occupied by all levels of command hierarchy at various times. I can't say more than that at the present time. Of course, you and your family will need to seek alternative accommodation, but discreetly. We hope to make amends with you, but of course at a much later date. Do I have your word, sir? You mean this is a requisitioning? I'm speechless. Wait a minute, but this is a forceful removal. So I have no other options, do I? This is a fait accompli. But, yes. But I shall need to discuss this with the family. Good man. I knew you were the sort of chap who could see this straight away. Right, must be off. Got to get back to London. My chaps here will stay with you and do a little bit of appropriate paperwork and start to make arrangements. Any questions? The Colonel is keeping his cards close to his chest. No, of course not. It's all perfectly clear, and thank you for coming down.